They told you confidence was something you either had or didn't, that it was for the bold, the fearless, the ones who were born with it. But here's the truth. They were wrong. Confidence isn't inherited, it's sculpted. It's not lightning striking once, it's a steady hand carving light into your own soul every single day. You are the artist, you are the masterpiece. And today we begin chiseling away every ounce of self-doubt that ever told you you're not enough. Because deep inside you, beneath every what if, and I can't, lies the raw material of something powerful. It's not broken, it's just waiting for the moment you decide that you no longer need permission to become everything you were meant to be. That moment is now. The world doesn't shape your confidence, you do. Every scar you carry, every failure that tried to shame you, every voice that told you to play small, they're not your prison, they're your marble. And confidence is the sculpture you carve out of them, one bold decision at a time. Confidence is sculpted, not inherited. That single truth breaks the myth that confidence belongs only to a select few. So many people move through life thinking that confidence is some magical trait you're either born with or you're not, as if it's coded into DNA. But the reality is, confidence is a process, not a gift. It's something you build, something you earn, something you create every single day with intention, effort, and perseverance. Just like a sculptor takes a raw block of marble and envisions what it could become, you take your raw experiences, your doubts, your failures, your insecurities, and from that rawness, you shape strength. You don't start with confidence, you start with courage, you start with the decision to try, you start with taking a single step despite fear, despite uncertainty, despite every voice in your head that says you're not enough. And when you take that step, no matter how small, you begin to chip away at the stone, you begin to see that you can do hard things, you begin to build evidence that you can handle discomfort. That's how confidence is born, not all at once, but piece by piece. Like a sculptor who doesn't immediately see the final statue, you trust that with enough dedication, what's inside you will emerge. Most people think they need to feel confident before they act, but that's not how it works. Confidence doesn't come first, action does. The first time you try something new, you probably won't feel confident, you'll feel awkward, you'll question yourself, you'll stumble. But if you push through that awkwardness, if you keep moving forward, each attempt makes you a little braver, each effort makes you a little stronger. Eventually, what once felt terrifying starts to feel familiar. That's the sculpting process. You are literally carving a new version of yourself, a version who knows they can handle challenges because they've done it before. Every challenge you faced is like a tool in your hand. The pain you've endured, the doubts you've battled, the rejections you've survived, those are not signs that you're not confident. They're the tools that shape you into someone who is. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you've learned how to move anyway. It means you've practiced courage so many times that now even when fear shows up, it doesn't get to control you. It becomes background noise instead of the lead voice. When you realize that confidence is something you build, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop assuming that the people who look confident just magically woke up that way. You start to understand that they sculpted their confidence the same way you can, by showing up again and again. And maybe they've been sculpting longer. Maybe they've faced different challenges. But the process is the same. The difference is not in ability. It's in commitment, it's in consistency, it's in who kept carving when no one was watching. The best part is, if confidence is sculpted, that means you're always in control of it. No one can give it to you, but more importantly, no one can take it away. It's not about circumstances, it's not about praise or recognition. It's about you showing up for yourself over and over until your actions start to match your inner strength. You become a living testimony to your own growth. You become evidence that change is possible. You become the proof that confidence is not a trait, it's a creation. And you are the sculptor. Action builds confidence, not perfection. That truth has the power to change everything about how you see yourself and your journey. Most people believe they need to have it all figured out before they begin. They think they need to be flawless, fully prepared, or unshakably sure of themselves before they take the first step. But that mindset creates paralysis. It keeps you stuck in the waiting room of your life, endlessly preparing and never acting. The real transformation doesn't begin in the moment of clarity, it begins in the moment of motion. Because confidence doesn't grow when things are perfect, it grows when you show up, especially when they're not. When you take action, even if it's small, even if it's messy, you start to prove to yourself that you are capable, That proof becomes internal fuel. You build a track record with yourself. You see yourself trying, learning, growing, and that builds trust in your own ability to figure things out. Confidence isn't about knowing the outcome. It's about knowing that whatever the outcome, you'll be okay. You'll learn from it. You'll rise from it. You'll get better because of it. And that kind of belief doesn't come from perfection. It comes from movement. Too often we let the fear of failure become a cage. We think if we don't get it right the first time, we're not good enough. But confidence doesn't come from getting it right. It comes from being willing to try again and again until you do. Every time you take a risk, every time you put yourself out there, every time you choose progress over perfection, you chip away at the fear that holds you back. And slowly, what begins to emerge is a stronger, braver, more resilient you. You become confident not by never falling, but by rising faster and stronger each time you do. That's where the real growth happens. When you stop waiting for the ideal moment and start making the most of the present one, everything shifts. You realize that confidence is not something you find, it's something you generate. It's born in the repetition of showing up. It's cultivated in the habit of action. And the more you act, the more you believe. You become someone who keeps promises to themselves, someone who can rely on their own courage, someone who doesn't let fear stop them from becoming who they're meant to be. The biggest myth is that confident people always feel ready. They don't, they just move anyway. The truth is, confidence doesn't come before the leap, it comes after. It comes when you take the leap and realize you survived. When you make the call, speak the truth, share your work, face the doubt, and walk through it instead of around it. Confidence is the reward for doing what scared you. You earn it by choosing to act in the face of imperfection. And the more you act, the more you expand what you believe is possible. You stop holding yourself to impossible standards. You stop punishing yourself for not being flawless. You start celebrating effort. You start honoring courage. And in that space, confidence blooms, not because you've become perfect, but because you've become powerful. Because you understand now that confidence doesn't come from being ready. It comes from being willing to try, willing to grow, willing to keep going, even when the path is unclear. So if you're waiting to feel confident before you begin, understand that the beginning is what brings the confidence. It doesn't arrive at your door. You summon it through movement, one step, one action, one bold decision at a time. Confidence is not a destination you reach when everything is finally perfect. It is a muscle built in the mess, a light ignited by effort. And every time you choose action over hesitation, you're sculpting that light into something unshakable. Your scars are part of your strength. That's something most people overlook because we've been conditioned to hide our pain, to mask our struggles, to cover up the very things that make us powerful. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, with smooth edges and polished smiles, and yet the most magnetic, impactful, and unshakable confidence often comes from those who've been through the fire and dared to rise again. Your scars are not something to be ashamed of. They are your story. They are proof that you have faced life's hardest moments and made it through. Too often, people think confidence comes from having it easy, from never being hurt, from always winning. But true confidence, the kind that radiates from within and lights up every room you walk into, is born from struggle. It's forged in pain. It's carved into your soul through the moments that almost broke you. And the reason it's so powerful is because you earned it. It wasn't handed to you. You built it when no one was watching, when you cried and kept going, when you failed and stood back up, when you doubted yourself and took the next step anyway. Scars don't make you less, they make you more. They give you depth, wisdom, and perspective. They remind you of your resilience. They show you how far you've come, and when you stop hiding them, when you stop seeing them as flaws, they begin to work for you. You start standing in your story instead of running from it. You start realizing that every painful moment you survived gave you a new layer of strength. And suddenly your confidence doesn't come from pretending you've never been hurt. It comes from knowing that nothing can truly break you. Confidence that comes from pretending to be perfect is fragile. It crumbles under pressure, but confidence that is built from scars is unshakable because it knows how to bend, how to fall, how to recover. It's grounded in experience. It's rooted in truth. And the people who carry that kind of confidence aren't loud or flashy. They're calm, steady, and real. You can feel it in their presence. It's not arrogance. It's assurance. It's the kind of quiet power that says, I've been through worse and I'm still here. You don't have to hide what hurt you. You don't have to minimize the struggles you faced. They're part of your blueprint. They've shaped the way you love, the way you lead, the way you live. The world doesn't need a flawless version of you. It needs the real you. The one who knows pain, but still chooses joy. The one who's been broken, but still chooses hope. The one who's felt fear, but still shows up with fire. That's where your true power lives. In the parts of your story you thought made you weak, but actually made you unforgettable. When you begin to own your scars instead of concealing them, you start living from a place of truth. You don't need to act like everything's okay to be confident. You just need to know that no matter what happens, you have the strength to get through it. That belief, that knowing is what transforms you. That's what makes people listen when you speak, watch when you walk, and remember your presence long after you've gone. Because you're not pretending, you're not performing. You're standing tall in everything you've survived, and that is magnetic. So let the world see your scars. Let them see your journey. Not for sympathy, but for connection, for courage, for truth. Because the more real you are, the more you give others permission to be real too. And when confidence is built on that kind of authenticity, there's nothing that can take it away. You become untouchable, unshakable, and deeply undeniably powerful. Self-trust is the core of confidence. Without it, everything you build on the outside begins to crumble the moment pressure arrives. You can have the best clothes, the best words, the best resume, but if you don't trust your own instincts, your own worth, your own voice, all of that collapses under the weight of doubt. Trusting yourself is the anchor that holds you steady when life tries to throw you off course. It's the foundation that confidence stands on, and without it, everything feels shaky, no matter how good you look on the surface. Trusting yourself means believing that you can handle what comes. It doesn't mean you'll never make mistakes. It doesn't mean you'll always know the right answer. What it does mean is that even if you fall, even if things don't go according to plan, you believe in your ability to figure it out. That's the power of self-trust. It's not about control, it's about courage. The courage to take the leap even when you don't have all the answers. The courage to make a choice and stand by it. The courage to hear your inner voice and actually listen to it instead of silencing it with everyone else's opinions. Too often, we're taught to look outside of ourselves for answers. We're told to wait for permission, to follow the crowd, to seek validation before moving forward. But real confidence doesn't come from the outside. It comes from that internal decision that says, I've got me. It's the kind of trust that doesn't need applause or approval because it already knows its value. And that trust builds with repetition. Every time you honor your boundaries, every time you make a promise to yourself and keep it, every time you follow through, even when it's hard, you strengthen that trust. You deepen that foundation. When you trust yourself, you stop second-guessing every move. You don't spiral over what other people think. You don't shrink your voice to fit someone else's comfort. You don't abandon your path because someone else doesn't understand it. Instead, you stand firm. You speak clearly. You move with intention. That doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means fear doesn't drive the car anymore. It means you've taken the wheel. And the more you practice that, the more natural it becomes. The beautiful thing about self-trust is that it allows you to take risks. It gives you permission to explore, to fail, to grow, because you know that no matter what happens, you won't abandon yourself. You'll keep showing up, you'll keep learning, you'll keep becoming. That's a confidence that isn't fragile, it's unbreakable. It's the type of energy that makes people lean in, not because you're performing, but because you're grounded in who you are. And self-trust is quiet. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's the calm in your voice when others are yelling. It's the stillness in your presence when everything feels chaotic. It's the certainty that comes not from having all the answers, but from knowing that, answer or not, you're going to move forward. You're going to figure it out. You're going to be okay. That's what gives your confidence depth. That's what makes your energy feel real. So if you want to build confidence that lasts, start by building trust with yourself. Keep your word. Honor your voice. Respect your feelings, make decisions that align with your truth, even when they're not popular, and most importantly, don't abandon yourself for acceptance. Because the moment you decide that your own approval matters more than anyone else's, you unlock a level of confidence that no one can take from you. You become your own anchor, and from that place you rise. Consistency is more powerful than loudness. In a world that glorifies noise and visibility, It's easy to believe that confidence is measured by how loudly you speak, how boldly you present yourself, or how much attention you attract. But real lasting confidence doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to dominate the room or drown others out. It flows quietly and steadily from within, built over time by the power of showing up day after day with purpose and integrity. Loudness may grab attention for a moment, but consistency builds presence that cannot be ignored. It is the difference between a spark and a flame. The spark may flash, but the flame, though quieter, burns far longer and stronger. Consistency means you keep doing the work. Even when it's not glamorous, it means you show up for yourself, even when no one is watching. It's easy to feel confident when everything's going right, when people are cheering you on, when success is immediate. But what about the moments when you feel invisible, when you doubt yourself, when progress feels painfully slow? That's when confidence is truly sculpted. When you choose to keep going anyway, when you choose to believe in your path and commit to it, even without applause. That quiet commitment, doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has passed, is what forms the bedrock of self-trust and self-worth. The beauty of consistency is that it builds evidence. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. You become someone who honors your word, respects your boundaries, and makes progress through discipline rather than drama. That's where real confidence lives, not in the volume of your voice, but in the strength of your character. When you consistently show up for your goals, your vision, and your growth, you no longer need to shout to be heard. Your results speak for you. Your energy speaks for you. Your presence speaks for you. It's not about being perfect every day. It's about staying aligned. Even small steps taken consistently lead to massive transformation. Confidence isn't always flashy. Sometimes it's quiet, mornings spent in discipline. It's journaling your fears, but still pushing through them. It's practicing when no one's watching. It's keeping promises to yourself, even when it would be easier to quit. Those acts of consistency create internal momentum, and momentum is magnetic. It pulls confidence from within you, piece by piece, until one day you look back and realize just how far you've come, not because you made a scene, but because you refused to stop. Loudness can often be a mask. Many people speak the loudest when they feel the most insecure. They compensate with noise because they haven't built the quiet strength that comes from consistency. But someone who has walked through doubt, stayed committed, and built something real over time doesn't need to convince anyone of their worth. They walk in truth. They move in peace. They carry an energy that says, I know who I am, without ever having to say it out loud. That's the power you begin to hold when you live with consistency. Your actions become your identity. Your discipline becomes your freedom. You start to feel grounded, not because life is always easy, but because you trust yourself to navigate it. You don't need to announce your growth, you embody it. You don't need to prove your strength. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges, how you treat others, and how you hold your standards even when no one else is watching. In the end, the world doesn't remember the loudest. It remembers the ones who lasted, the ones who stayed when it got hard, the ones who kept showing up, kept growing, and kept believing. Your quiet consistency becomes your loudest message. It tells the world, I'm not here to impress, I'm here to impact. And that kind of confidence doesn't fade, it only grows. You are the sculptor and the masterpiece. That realization changes everything. Most people walk through life waiting to be shaped by circumstances, by opinions, by success or failure. They believe that who they are is the result of what happens to them. But the truth is, you are not just the result. You are the creator. You are not only living a story, you are writing it, carving it, shaping it with every thought you choose, every action you take, and every belief you carry. Confidence begins when you stop looking outside for definition and start creating from the inside out. When you recognize that you are both the artist and the artwork, you take full ownership of your growth. You stop waiting for someone to hand you worthiness, and you begin building it with intention. This isn't about being perfect or finished. A sculptor doesn't start with the final image. They start with a block, a vision, and a willingness to work through the mess. They chip away at what doesn't belong, piece by piece, with patience and clarity. That's how confidence is created. Not in one sudden transformation, but in the steady, deliberate practice of becoming. Each day, you shape a part of who you are. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes a tool in your hand. When you choose honesty over hiding, courage over comfort, discipline over distraction, you sculpt your character. and your character becomes your confidence. You don't wait for someone else to sculpt it for you. You don't look at other people's statues and wish you had theirs. You get to work on your own, with your own hands, using everything life has given you, not just the good, but the pain, the loss, the failure, the fear. All of it is part of the marble. All of it is part of the masterpiece. What makes a true masterpiece isn't how flawless it is, but how real it is. Confidence doesn't mean you have all the answers or never struggle. It means you've accepted your process. You've embraced that you are in the making and that the making is beautiful. You carry yourself differently when you know you're the one shaping your destiny. You stop blaming. You stop comparing. You start refining. You realize that you are capable of change, of growth, of extraordinary transformation, and that no one else gets to decide your limits but you. And even more powerfully, you begin to see that you are already art, not just in who you are becoming, but in who you already are. Every scar, every step, every story has shaped the way you shine. Confidence is not about becoming someone else. It's about revealing the depth and power of who you've always been. The sculptor doesn't put something into the marble that isn't already there. They remove what isn't needed so the truth can be seen. That's what you're doing every time you choose to grow. You're uncovering the brilliance that was always inside. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming, and that becoming never ends. That's what makes it sacred. You are allowed to be a work in progress and a work of art at the same time. You are allowed to keep shaping while celebrating how far you've come. You are allowed to make mistakes, change directions, start over, and still call yourself powerful. That's the truth about being the sculptor and the masterpiece. You are always evolving, and every version of you holds value. When you own your identity as the sculptor, you stop fearing change. You realize that transformation is in your hands. You stop waiting for permission because the tools have been in front of you all along. You were never meant to be a passive creation of your environment. You were always meant to shape your world, starting with yourself. And as you keep chiseling with love, with courage, with truth, you don't just build confidence, you become it. You become living proof that greatness is crafted, not inherited. That you are not finished, but you are powerful even now. You are the sculptor, you are the masterpiece, and your work is just beginning.